Pretty good. Today we are going to do a book review on this book. So it is Vintage Details, a fashion source book. So I saw this online, I don't know when I found it. I haven't seen like any other videos on it or anything. I ended up buying it off of eBay. I paid $38 and I purchased it used or pre-owned. That included shipping. I did see it on Amazon today for $52. So, do try and look around and don't just buy, the Amazon brand new copy. They are available used at times. So we're going to talk about what it is. I had no idea what to expect. So I thought I would let you guys know, especially if you like to do sewing or just kind of want to learn a little bit more about the history of clothes. And so we'll just kind of talk about who made it, what it covers, and then I'll show you some of my favorite pieces out of it. The first thing to know about the book is that it's more of an encyclopedia or a directory, a photo gallery would be the best way to describe it. It does not have a ton of writing in it, and that's great. It's, clothes and fashion is such a visual thing. It's sad that you can't actually touch the items, but just want to say that there's not a lot of writing. If you're looking for a story, this is not the book to buy. The two authors for the book is Jeffrey Mayer and Basia Szkutnicka, and they are both in the fashion industry. Jeffrey Mayer is a professor. He worked at Syracuse University. He started in 1992, and he also has his own fashion line. He's the curator of the Syracuse Fashion Collection. The fashion collection was actually started in 1930, which is so great to have a collection started that long ago. As I've mentioned before, I do this vintage fashion and art, and make sure that my artistic side is met. But my real passion is in botany and collecting plants, and so I have my own collection through the university I work through, and I have volunteers and students that contribute to that collection, and it's just such a powerful piece of evidence. But there's just so much research that can happen when those collections are made. It's so great to be able to go back and see the history. So it's just really cool to look back at those collections, and you learn a lot about the collector too, not just about the specimen. So I think that's really cool. So in this collection that started in the 1930s, there's also a major benefactor that contributed a lot of clothing items in 1980. Now the facility is called the Sue Ann Janae Costume Collection and Research Center. So you can look that up. If you live in the area, you can go and visit it. That collection has about 2,500 women's garments in the collection, and it spans back to the 1800s. Basia's first garment that she talks about collecting was when she was 14, as she had found a couple of garments in the drama club's dressing gowns, right? And so she grew up in the 70s, and so there's a lot of polyester and that kind of stuff that she didn't really like, and so finding these gems from the 30s and 40s were just amazing to her, with the great rayons and wools and rich textiles, and so she started collecting garments at that point. So a lot of the collection items in the book are also from her collection. Basia has her own fashion label, and then also has done a lot of consulting and worked in the fashion industry for decades. At the time the book was written, she worked at the London College of Fashion as a director and lecturer at that school. And I do want to say, I always feel bad when the photographers and the artists always get left out, even though for something like this it's very visual. There's not a lot of writing. I do want to make sure that the photographer, Stephen Sartori, gets credit for the work that he did. I do resell clothes on eBay, and it's really hard to make sure that you get really great, captivating images of garments, and he did a really great job putting that all together. In the beginning of the book, there is this visual index, and so there's basically 12 garments showing the front and back of each garment, and they are, I think they're organized by the oldest at the very beginning to the latest garments at the end. There's 156 garments, and most of them are women's, well, they're all women's clothing. Most of them are dresses and shirts and suits. There's some coats, there's a few skirts, and then there's hardly any pants. So there's one pair of joppers and one pair of bell bottoms. And then there's one wrap that I would consider like an accessory. The rest of them would fall into the dresses and blouses, right? This is the majority of them. The earliest garment was 1913 and the latest garment was 1995. The rest of the book is organized by components. The components include necklines, collars, sleeves, cuffs, pockets, fastening and buttonholes, hems, darts, stitching, and fitting devices, pleats, frills, and flounces, embellishments, surfaces, and construction. So basically you can look at one of these garments and you can see that like the silver lace dress with cream silk taffeta underdress from 1923. We can check out their sleeves, their hems, darts, stitching, and fitting devices, their embellishments, and the surface. So then you can go and flip through one of those sections, find that dress, and learn more about it. If you didn't want to look at a specific garment and kind of pick out the pieces, like that, you know, like there's a few garments that I really love in here, and we'll look at those in a second. But you can just look, like if you're trying to decide on a new neckline for a garment that you're making, or maybe you want to draw a new neckline, like if you're an artist, you can look just at necklines, right? And you can see it's got this beautiful blue dress with a really cute bow, little square neckline, and you can just peruse the centuries worth of necklines, and they've got some really amazing pieces here. And you can do that going through all of the different categories. So my favorite dress out of this whole thing is the red and pink printed cotton day dress. This was made in the United States. It's estimated that it's from 1935. And I really love the red. It looks red and white, but it does say red and pink, so I'm going to believe them. So maybe like a baby pink. I just really I love day dresses, and I love the bright colors and the geometric patterns on it. So if you look at it from the front, you've got like a very like 1930s, 1940s look, where you've got, you know, just basic short sleeves. I like the area under the bust. Here is the front bodice. I love that collar. Like, look at that scalloped collar. It's so pretty. It would be so fun to make a dress like that, especially with the geometric lines. On page 114, you can see they have a close-up of the sleeves, and I've never done a sleeve like this, but I really like that it has the bias trim with the little indent in the arm to give it just a little extra interest, so I think that that's really cute. Here you can look at the pocket detail. It's just a square pocket in the front of the dress, and again, it's being called out because of the contrasting geometric pattern. I think that's really cool. And then the last place where it's featured is for surface, page 351. And you can see that it's got a close-up of what the fabric looks like. I'm kind of curious if it's included here, if there's actually like a woven raised pattern. You can kind of see the horizontal and vertical lines. There's like a white grid on there, so kind of like a Swiss dot. I wonder if it's raised on the cotton. So that's my favorite dress. I'll show you a couple others that I like. This is a really pretty 1947 suit skirt set. It's plum and gray. I love the horizontal stripes. I love the stripes at the arms. And so here it's featured both for the collar and for the pocket, so we'll look at those. You can see for the collar that it's a tweed weave, and then it's got a little, well, first of all, it's a very high collar. It's pointed, but not pointy. Like, it's not a very narrow collar, it's very broad. And then, of course, it's got that extra little bit of woven purple in there. you know, just to make it a little bit asymmetrical and interesting. That's pretty cool. Here the pockets are featured. Up at the top right lapel, there's a double pocket. Sometimes I've heard of those called a ticketer's pocket. Those are usually on blazers and they're usually around the waist, but this one here has got a double pocket in the chest. And then down below it's got, you know, your classic square pockets with a button closure. But isn't that belt cute with the plum color weave? This is another one of my favorite dresses. I have quite a few sheath dresses just because I really like the fitted skirt. So it makes a really big difference on me. I like them a lot better than just the poofy skirts or A-line skirts. So I've thought that maybe I could incorporate some of the embroidery features from this dress to some of my existing dresses, or maybe make something in the future that's based off of this. I think it's really funny. I think it's interesting because I'm actually really allergic to willows. I'm allergic to salicylates. Willows are in the Salicaceae family. And so when I see pussy willow, it's, you know, it's just kind of fun. It's interesting that I'm attracted to this dress even though I'm like allergic to everything that this plant produces. But besides that, I'm actually doing some research on willows in the Pacific Northwest, and I think it's ironic that out of all the plants that I could have picked, I end up working with the ones that I am really, you know, sensitive to. So anyway, I think it'd be really funny if I had a willow dress. I just, you know, life. Anyway, this dress is from 1963. It's a gray wool sheath with embroidery, and I'll show you a couple of the features. So here it's featured for the neckline. You can see, I really like it when they're a little bit high like that, but then you can also see little portions of the collarbone, and I'm pretty angular up here, so I always think that looks quite attractive on me. They've got a close-up of what the embroidered pussy willow looks like, and I just think it's really cute. That would be something I could totally hand embroider myself. I might be able to do it with the machine, but you know, you can tell that the texture is very soft. You know, it's not an embroidery thread, it's more like a yarn or like something with a lot of texture on there. So pretty interesting. It was also featured for the darts. Obviously that's one reason why I like it, is because that really fitted look on it, and then also for surface. Some of the exceptional photos that I really like, and we won't look at the whole garment. I really love this 1970s pattern. I don't actually like the dress. It's a skirt set, but the pattern is just so attractive. I could just imagine this on like a 1940s style day dress or shirt dress. In 1951, there was this day dress. It's a double knit day dress, but I love the sleeve on this. It's just so beautiful. Both of these garments are gorgeous. So the top, you've got a taupe silk cocktail dress from 1958. I love the straight, simple collar neckline at the top, and then the asymmetric gathering and wrap on the left side of the garment there. I think that's so beautiful. And then the collar, again, a very, kind of like a Peter Pan collar, but it's scalloped. Is so cute on that suit jacket right below that. This one, I really like how trim and tailored the bodice is on this, with just like the little darts. I can imagine like a bullet bra being worn under this, kind of making it a little bit on the pointy side with those darts on the bottom. So anyway, I just really like the neckline on that. The brown color is really pretty. This image is under hems, darts, stitching, and fitting devices. Check out that scalloped hem. I mean, it's just amazing. Pleated fabric in a scallop, layered. That's so cool. And then of course, it has some garments featured for construction. So it'll show like the garments inside out, and that way you can kind of see how it's made, so that if you wanted to replicate some of these things, there's a few pictures for you. So this is one sleeve that I do like, the spring green bias cut satin evening dress from 1935. I love the quilted seaming on the sleeve, and it hangs down. Here it'll show you that even though there's a little bit more underneath that you can't really see. So you would want to make your normal bodice sleeve, and then you would also want to attach the flutter sleeve on top of that. You can see that some of these garments have built-in petticoats and different things like that. So I think that's all I've got for today. If you have this book, let me know what you think about it. I wasn't really sure if it showed me how to do the garments or if it was just pictures. Like, I really had no idea what to expect, and that's the reason I thought it would be a useful book review for you. So if you're interested in having a resource like this, you know, pick it up. I am a very visual person. I feel like anything that I see, I can replicate. You know, like one of those people that can taste something and just cook it up without a recipe. Like, I'll need a pattern of some sort, but I really do like being able to see something and then recreate it. One of my superpowers. So anyway, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. That's all I got for today. Thanks so much for following. Oh, do give it a thumbs up and subscribe, because YouTube really cares about that. It also lets me know that you're interested in this kind of content, and I will see you next week. Bye.